Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It is May the 6th today, and last night we went 2 degrees below freezing. Because it was getting so cold last night, I moved all my tropicals back out of the greenhouse for about the 4th time and into the plant room. And I put some of the more sensitive trees inside the greenhouse overnight. So I put my larch forest just because I didn't want the needles getting damaged by the cold. Some of the trees that I've recently repotted, and some of the ones that are a little more tender. So now I've got to take these all out of the greenhouse because it'll get too warm in here in the daytime, put them back on the benches, and then I can bring some tropical trees back out just for the daytime. The nighttime lows are going down to freezing for the next 4 days in a row. So if I bring any tropicals out, I've got to just bring them out for the day, then bring them back in at nighttime. Growing bonsai is never easy in the springtime. You're always moving trees in and out, worrying about frost damage on your flowers and your leaves. So it's a bit of a dance, moving things around all the time. Today I'll be working on my pines. I'm going to take a look at the design of them, do some evaluation on them, discuss where they're going in the future, and maybe do some light pruning. I've got all the hardy trees out of the greenhouse now, so I've got my door closed and I'm just letting it warm up inside, and then I can bring out my tropical trees. And yeah, I'll bring out, probably the ficus just to start getting them used to the outdoor light. I've moved my tropical trees out to the greenhouse now. It's hard work moving them, but it's worth it to get a day of sunshine. So here I've got my Franken ficus, or my fusion ficus, doing really well. My multi-trunk ficus that I call Fancy. My Chinese city penjing. Horse tipped over. Better set the horse back up there. There. I've got my very first bonsai ficus that I grew from a seed. My Sarissa, my Schefflera clump, my ficus cutting of a cutting, and my willow leaf ficus back there. So right now the humidity in here is about 60%, and I think, yeah, about 60%, and the temperature is about 28 degrees Celsius or 80, maybe 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So my next step is to wet down the floor, the benches, and mist the walls and everything, all the plastic up here. And I can get the humidity in here up to about probably 80 or 90%. And that'll really help me develop aerial roots in the future, having this high humidity in here. And I come in here and I spray everything down about, I don't know, maybe 6 times a day. I really keep it humid in here, and then you get aerial roots come out everywhere. So kind of exciting. So that's my next task, is to wet everything down in here and get that humidity really high. I've wet down everything in the greenhouse, the benches, the floor, the walls, the ceiling, with the mister and the watering can. It's really tropical in there now. I don't have the heat on because there's enough sunshine today that it keeps the greenhouse at a really nice temperature. So let's go in. I think the camera lens will fog up right away, but let's see. Here I am. So far, so good. So the humidity is gone up to, it's at 70% right now, and it'll keep climbing as all this moisture evaporates in here. And the temperature right now is 20 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is just perfect. So these cool days out here, they're really good because you can get the full sunshine in the greenhouse and it doesn't get too hot in the greenhouse. So on a warmer day, I do have to open the door here to vent it out. And in the summer, I always have a fan running in here to circulate air. And that really helps kind of cool the plants down. You don't want the trees getting anywhere above about, well, for ficus and that, they can take a lot of heat, but not too much. They start to go dormant in the really hot temperatures. So you've got to keep them under about, I think, 40 degrees Celsius, I would say, which is about, well, about 105 degrees Fahrenheit. So anything above that, they just they go dormant. They don't grow at all. So the ideal range is to keep them at about 30 degrees Celsius, or that's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit is just like the perfect temperature for most tropical trees. It's amazing that this greenhouse, last night we were at 2 degrees below freezing, and now it's like a tropical jungle in there. 80% humidity, 30 degrees Celsius, just perfect for plant growth. So yeah, it's worth, you know, all the effort of carrying the trees out for a sunny day like this is worth it. It's so healthy for the trees, and it gets them going earlier in the year so they can grow even, you know, better over the summer. Here's the spot for my new greenhouse. It's all ready for the cement pad. And when I get it set up, I'd like to install some kind of a misting system in it. So maybe up in the ceiling, like in the grocery stores, how they mist the vegetables every, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. Just to come on hot days like this. It would keep the humidity up in the greenhouse. It would cool down the trees, and I think it'd be really good for the, you know, for all the tropicals. So that's something I can work on in the future. I got out my Scots pine, my root over rock or root over island planting. I thought I might as well do all 3 pines today, looking at them, evaluating them, and doing some pruning. At the moment, my bench is in shadow here. You can see the large white pine shading it out. The sun's almost by it. So in the meantime, I'm going to water all my trees. It's kind of a dry, windy day today, and I noticed that some of the pots are getting a little dried out. So that's my next task. Hello, hi. I've got some ducks in my area, or my scobies. Today I'm going to mainly talk about the styling of these trees and where I want to take them into the future. I'm stepping back, having a look at the Austrian pine from the distance here, and it's got a fairly skinny trunk. That may change in the future. It'll definitely thicken up over the years. I've been doing a few things to correct it to get a little more taper in the tree. Up top here, last year I didn't candle pinch 2 shoots, and I was hoping to grow those as sacrifice branches. So it's a branch I would grow up top, and I would let it get, you know, like a meter long or over 3 feet long, really helping to thicken up the tree at the base, you know, thickening up the root base and everything. And so the one leader up top, the tip of it doesn't have any candles on it this year. I'm not sure what happened, if you know, a bird pecked off the buds, or if insects did or something, but I do have one strong bud at the back there that'll grow as a sacrifice branch this year. I won't touch it. I won't candle pinch it at all. And, you know, that's the start. This will be year 2 of growing a sacrifice leader or branch that'll, you know, help thicken up the main trunk of the tree. I've turned the tree around to the side view, so I'll show you that sacrifice branch. Here it is here. So you can see it's got some good strong buds on the top, and it's at a place where, you know, if that thickens up, I can prune it off and you won't see the scar from the front at all. So that's my one. This was my other sacrifice leader, and you can see there's no candles on it at all. So I don't know what happened to the top of it. Strange, but that's the way it is. While we're in the side view here, you can see that the back of the tree could use a little more. The branches could be a little longer at the back. It kind of looks a little unbalanced. There's a lot of weight on the front of the tree here and not much here. So these branches could be allowed to grow a little longer at the back. There's a few branches that are a little on the thin side. You know, here's my first branch, my second branch. They look pretty good. And then I come up here and I'm pretty skinny on that branch. The one behind it is fairly slim. So the idea is to kind of taper the branches so they, you know, thickest at the bottom and getting thinner as you go up into the canopy or the apex. So they're not bad, but I could adjust that a little bit. And I think that'll happen when I let this back branch here grow out a little more, I think it'll help thicken that up a bit at the base, and it'll blend in a bit more. This trunk does have, when I first got this tree, it was just a small tree at a nursery, and it had this huge whirl of branches coming out in this one spot. And there's always been this kind of bulge here, or ball shape in the trunk. I'm hoping it grows out. I've said this many times before that I hope it grows out, and if it doesn't, I may have to come in and cut out a big section and have that roll over as it heals, and you know, it'll have a scar there, but at least it won't have that big bulge. So I think by growing out these leaders in the top part here, I'm hoping it thickens the entire trunk up, and slowly that bulge goes away. That's the plan anyway. Style-wise, I think this lowest branch here, part of the branch is in the shade of the branch above it, so I'm kind of growing the branch more out the front rather than kind of over or underneath that other branch. So I may in the future have to prune that off. I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I come in here, so the main part of this branch comes out and then it fans out, and that fan may be too wide also. It's, you know, getting too exaggerated. But I've got another branch off to the side here that I've always kept, and it's kind of growing underneath the shade of this one, the branch above it. So I probably don't need that section of that branch anymore. I'm trying to get every branch to have its own spot, so there's no kind of holes. This branch can grow out in between these two here. I think most of the structure is fairly sorted out by this time. They'll always be refining. Like here's a branch I could shorten in future. It's kind of shading out the branch underneath, and there's lots of buds back here, so I could take that branch back, and that would help, you know, the appearance of the apex too. So they'll always be refining on the tree, but I think, you know, basically I think the style is fairly set. I don't think I want to make any dramatic changes to the tree. You know, I've always considered removing these lowest branches and developing more of an umbrella-shaped canopy on it, which is how a lot of the old Austrian pines develop in nature. But I don't know if I want to go that route. I don't think my trunk line is clean enough to get rid of those lower branches. I think it would just... it wouldn't improve the quality of the tree. I think it would be the opposite. I think it would be, the tree would be worse looking if I did anything radical like that. So I think, you know, I'm satisfied with the tree as it is. It's probably my most Japanese looking bonsai tree. I'll always try and get it always looking towards the natural side if I can. One thing I may do in the future is show more of the branch structure. Right now, you know, it's kind of hidden. You can see it if you kind of bend down, but a lot of it's hidden. So I like on a pine to be able to, you know, like this one up here, to be able to see all the branches. So yeah, this tree, I don't think you'll see anything radical coming in the next 10 years on it. I think it'll just be refinement, working on getting that trunk smoothed out with these sacrifice leaders, and just, you know, general branch management, trying to refine them slowly, making the tree look better and better. There's no work to do on the Austrian pine today. The next operation will be pinching the candles. That'll come in probably towards the end of the month. So let's get out the next tree. The next tree I'll be working on today is my Scots pine. I planted this pine over top of a rock. So over the last few years, I've just been kind of letting it grow and gain vigor, so the roots kind of grip the rock firmly. And now I think it's time to start looking at the canopy and giving it some style and shape. My intent for this tree is to kind of create a flat top pine look to it. And I don't want it one big mass of foliage up here. I've kind of got a leader in this direction. That will be my kind of leader of the tree, and this will be sort of a side branch. And I'll break that up into several branches so it gives it a nice miniature effect. So right now it's kind of like a mop head, and it could definitely use a little thinning. And I'm wondering, I may be able to take a few branches off today, but I may have to wait again until midsummer to do more work on it. There's a lot of good candles coming on it. The tree is really healthy. No problems health-wise. So yeah, that's the eventual style, is sort of it'll almost be like a wind-blown, or a tree that's sculpted by the wind. If you imagine, down here, that this is like an island or a rocky shoreline, and the tree is being shaped by the ocean wind. The roots are gripping the rock quite nicely now. You can still wiggle it a little bit, but not a whole lot. They're starting to thicken up and get tougher. I'll rotate it around to the back of the tree. There you can see the main structure of the roots coming down. There's 3 roots going down into the soil there. There's another one here, one off to this side. So yeah, a really nice root system. The tree had quite an elbow, a sharp elbow on it at one time. And to smooth it out, I carved away the elbow, and it's healing over really well. So I think in a few years that'll be closed over and it'll be almost invisible. And I have another one up top here. Up top here, I also smoothed out the transition, taking this kind of sharp elbow off. And again, that's healing really nicely, and it'll blend in really well someday. Either side would look good on this tree if this was the front, or my intended front around here. Both look good. I like the rock from this view better. It's kind of like a cove, a C shape. So I think this should be the front view, and this scar back here is hidden in this view, and this one is almost hidden too. So I think this is the better view for the tree, even though you don't see those really nice roots at the back. In order to keep that kind of flowing, windswept branch structure, I'll have to prune away a lot of the kind of vertical growth and keep the more cascading or horizontal branches. And there's a lot of branch structure I need to sort out. There's branches kind of growing on top of each other, and one branch dividing into 3 here. So a lot of structural issues that need sorting out, but I'm patient. We'll get to it in the future. I have started pinching the candles on the tree last year to equalize the vigor, so that one branch doesn't take off and become really thick compared to the others. So it's fairly balanced growth-wise. There's some branches that have, a little stronger candles than others, but not too dramatically different. I am going to be doing some pruning to this tree today. There's a branch kind of growing in the middle between 2 other branches that I want to prune out. So I think the best, to get the best view of this, I think I'll get the camera looking down at the top view of the tree. You're looking down at the top view, and this is the front of the tree here. And I'll show you. So right here, I've got this side branch comes out, and it divides into 2 here. And then in the middle here, I have a 3rd branch here that I've always kept, and I don't think it needs to be there. I think it kind of interferes with this branch here. And if I want to create kind of separate, branch pads, I don't think I want this one growing up the middle between them. I want some foliage to develop on this side of this branch so I can shorten that back. So I think this branch here is kind of interfering. So I'm going to get rid of this one. So here I go. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a stub. So I'm going to take it off right here. Let me get so you can see it. Here I go. Like that. So now you can see that it's opened it up here, but I've got 2 kind of parallel branches here. So this one will have to be, shortened and redirected, and this one too. On this one I have a branch, one growing above the other one. I don't like that at all, and I'm going to remove the one. So I'm going to take off the top one. So again, I'll just cut it back, leaving a stub to there, like that. That kind of frees up that lower branch to develop. And there's another little one here. So this branch, I don't like this kind of double parallel branch structure when viewed from above. So I definitely want to shorten it. I do have a branch coming off of it way back here, which could be developed in the future. It would be nice if I had something coming off here, but I don't at the moment. So maybe something will develop here in the future. I've got a strong kind of vertical section to this branch, and I don't want to develop it, upright. I want to keep it fairly horizontal or cascading. So I think I'm going to take that off also. It's a big cut, and it'll probably bleed a lot, but just trying to see if this other cut's bleeding yet. No, just a little bit. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take it off. I'll just take the tip off right now, like that. That should strengthen up the branches around it, and then I can maybe, prune it right back in future. I want to be kind of, oh, I broke a bud there. I want to be fairly conservative today. I've got a long, strong branch out the back here. I'm going to take the tip off that to there, just so that doesn't continue to get stronger. Balance the vigor a bit. This branch here, I have 1 dividing to 3. Certainly don't want that, so I'm going to take off, I think I'm going to take off the one that's coming straight up front, like that. That's a nice flow line there. The rest of the tree is not too bad. I think that's enough pruning for today. I think it's got, a few issues solved here. Kind of balance the vigor. Got some light down to these branches. Yeah, I think that'll be it for the pruning today. I'm looking at the tree in the front view now, and it's made a big difference in this area over here. It's kind of opened it up. I got a lower branch here that's looking good. I can get an apex up here and sort of some layered branches in this area. So yeah, I think it's I think this tree will look really good in the future. It's got a long way to go in development, but getting that canopy denser, get that branch structure sorted out, but I think it's going to look really good. I think it'll look like a coastal tree that's blown and shaped by the wind. Here's a look at the canopy now. So you can see there's a lot of good branches. Lots of really nice stuff to work with in the future. Lots of candles on it. So it's looking really good. I'll put this Scots pine back on the bench, and I'll get out the last pine I'll be working on today. The last pine that I'll be working on today is the Scots pine that I planted in this pot by Shany. This will be the second year for this tree growing in this pot. Last summer was the first year. And I chose this pine because it was a good size, and I wanted it to grow with the pot. So kind of shaping the pine so it kind of fits the pot perfectly. That's my hope anyway. Up here, you can see there's a little tiny shoot here. This is my future main apex. So I'm being very careful not to disturb that shoot. Today, I'm going to be doing some shaping on the tree. I haven't really done much work to this tree since I planted it in the pot. All I've been doing is letting the root system get strong and recover. And this year the growth looks really good. The candles are elongating nicely. It still has some work to do on balancing everything and getting branch structure, but so this is my kind of chosen front of the pot here. Somewhere about this direction. And I've got all these branches hanging down so you can't even see the trunk of the tree. So I kind of want to solve that today. Maybe, reducing some of these branches back and deciding what to keep and what to get rid of. I was going back and looking at the playlist on this tree, and last spring I took off a major branch on that tree, the largest vertical branch, and it didn't bleed to death or anything. So maybe I'm being too cautious about pruning this time of year. I don't know. So yeah, I kind of set it up to get the tree more compact, to grow it out more kind of twisty and slowly. So I'm going to do some pruning today. I'm going to try and sort the structure out a bit, get the tree going in the right direction. I'm at eye level here, and I'm just trying to see what branches I have. There's some good ones. I think the major problem is this apex is kind of bending down and blocking out the branch down below it, so I may have to sort that out a bit. So here's that branch. So I've got a really nice compact part of the branch here, and then down below kind of longer, and it's too long. It needs to be brought back in. So I'm going to take some off of there. I've got the branch comes down and then it divides. There's 2 branches here and 2 here. So I'm going to take off this part of the branch. So here I go. Like that. Taking that whole tip off. If I drop down low, I can see that's an improvement, but I still have some branches here that don't flow with the trunk line. I think it would look better without those 2. So I'm going to take those off. Like that. And I may even shorten this back further. It would definitely look best if this was the branch leader. I got to be careful about shortening it, that I don't, cause the whole branch to die back. But I think I can at least safely take the tip off here. That, and there's one growing out the bottom I can take off. That keeps some sap flow to this area, and hopefully, this little side branch here can thicken up and grow with a little more vigor. And there's some buds here forming too, so I can eventually shorten that branch back a bit. I'm going to shorten up this branch up here too. It's getting too long, so I'm going to take it. There's some really good needles here. I'm going to try a cut back to here, like that, taking the tip off. I've got some nice branches here if this tip were to die back, but I think it'll bud out. And then there's one here that I'm going to take it back also. I've got some buds back further, so I'm going to take the tip off like that. That'll hopefully develop these back buds, and I can make this branch a little more compact. I'm going to leave this bottom branch as it is. I would eventually like, the branch to be kind of not turning in towards the pot, so I may prune that off eventually, but there's some good structure here. I guess I could prune this back. I've got a branch here and a branch here. Let me have a look from the front and see if that needs to be removed entirely. I think for now, I like the way it kind of hides part of the pot. If it weren't there, you'd see the entire pot. I think it kind of creates a bit of depth and mystery, kind of looking behind to see the pot. So I'm going to keep it for now, and maybe it'll develop nicer in the future, get some more, some better branches, and I can maybe just prune the bottom of it off. But for now, I'll leave that branch. Up top here, I've got this kind of branch growing over. There's no separation between this branch off to the side and this branch. So I think I've got to shorten this back. And I may bring it right back to here. So that's taking a fair amount off, but I think it needs it. So here I go. I'll leave a bit of a stub like that. This branch kind of comes straight towards you, and it's not I like it there, but I think I just need to prune off this part that's interfering with this other part of the branch. So I'll take that off like that, just to give a bit of separation between these branches. This back branch here, it's way too strong, and I've got to get it pruned back. So I can do a bit of pruning in this area. On this one, I can take off, keeping this part of the branch, and there's a drooping one here. So I'll take this off like that. This branch, I can shorten this one also. There's a bud in here, and there's a kind of a drooping branch. So I'm going to take the top of that off like that. And then this branch, I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that's good. When I rotate the tree around, you can see I've got a very unusual branch here. They're very wide spreading. There's one coming out the front and one coming out the back. It's a natural feature on the tree, so I'm going to leave it. It's kind of unusual and I like it. So on this branch, I've got a good branch here. It cascades nicely, but then at the bottom there's a branch that kind of turns in towards the pot. So I'm going to take that off. I'll just reduce it back to here. Like that, just to trim that branch up a bit. I've got the tree trimmed up now, and I think it looks much better with the pot. It's not so sprawling and awkward looking. It's a little more compact and starting to look more like a miniaturized tree. So I think in the future it'll continue to grow and get better. And again, I'm trying to design it so it eventually grows and flows with the pot. So the tree and the pot become one piece of art. And, you know, it'll just take a long time, a lot of pruning and a lot of work. But I think it has the potential to look quite nice in the future. Here's a bit of a tour of the tree in the pot. I think it's showing some promise. I think, you know, it's getting denser. There's getting some good branches on it. Yeah, the tree's a little small for the pot still, but you know, give it 10 years, who knows what it'll look like. My spoiled trees in the greenhouse have enjoyed a beautiful sunny day today. So as the sun gets a little lower on the horizon, I'll have to bring them all back in. It is supposed to get down to freezing tonight. They might be okay if I left the heater on in here, but it's kind of risky. So I'm going to bring them in. It takes me maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get them all in safely. So, you know, for a little bit of work, it's better than taking the risk of getting too cold in here and killing off branches or something. So, yeah, so they are enjoying their sunny day today. Especially this Sarissa. It's fully adapted to the outdoor light now, and it's just growing beautifully. Amazing. So is my ficus here, the one from seed. You can see all kinds of new shoots coming out all over the branches. And even on the trunk line, there's shoots in there developing. So it's liking this humidity. I have my Snow Queen hibiscus here. You can see, I think it's called the Snow Queen because it has these kind of variegated frosted edges on the leaves. So I've got to get my my Elsa, my 3D printed Elsa assembled and painted to go along with my Snow Queen plant here. It's nice here in the greenhouse. I could spend all day in here just looking at the trees and misting them. And I've got the baobabs in here too. I figure they need the good sunlight. I haven't watered them, so they're fairly dry. But yeah, I think they like the sunlight. They're coming out into leaf now. I find it very exciting developing a tree, especially this one, developing it so it kind of merges and becomes one with the pot. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.